All right, what is up, everybody? We are into 11.7, which is density. All right, so density based on area and volume. Okay, so if you don't know, density is the measure of the quantity of some physical property per unit of length, area, or volume. Okay, so the most common way you probably hear is like that item is dense, or that person is very dense, meaning like their mass compared to their size is very high, right? So if somebody's dense, that means that even if it's small or for its relative size, it probably weighs a lot, okay? And so the first thing we're going to look at is population density based on area. So we think about LA, right, or Southern California. There's a lot of people living here compared to a place like Montana where there's not as many people. So the density of California is probably much larger based on square footage compared to, or square mile compared to a place like Montana, meaning there are more people per square mile in California than there are in Montana. So the density of California is higher than the density of Montana. So population density is the measure of the population per unit of area, and it's usually done in per square mile. So 1 mile by 1 mile block, okay? And thinking about how many people would live in that 1 mile by 1 mile, right? Just think about area around Foothill. If you travel 1 mile down Newport and 1 mile towards like Tustin Ranch Road, and then you come back and you make a big square that's 1 mile, how many people are living in that 1 mile by 1 mile square piece, right? It's probably a lot of people. So here's a little chart. If you downloaded the outline, then you've already got this. If not, you might want to pause the video and cause it. So we've got 3 different columns: city, population, and then area per square mile. So you have Boston, Chicago, LA, New York. Now the first 2 rows for Boston and Chicago are completely filled out. LA and New York, so that's New York City, have some missing information. So the first thing we do is we learn a formula. Okay, so how does population density work? How is it found? It's actually really easy. So population density equals, so this is a number, right? Oops. So this is going to be a number we're trying to find, or a number we're given. So population density equals the number of objects, in this case the number of people, divided by the area in which they live, or divided by the area that's being covered. Okay, so in this case, right, there are 617,594 people in the city of Boston, and the city of Boston is 48 square miles, okay, compared to there are 2,695,598 people living in the city of Chicago, and the city of Chicago is 228 square miles big, okay, compared to the city of LA, which is 469 miles, etc. Okay, so what is the population density of Boston, right? So again, density equals the number of people, or the number of objects, so population, 617,594, divided by the space that they live in, 48 square miles, okay? So we take our calculator, 617,594 divided by 48, we get 12,866 people per square mile. So that is a very highly dense area. Okay, so you think of Boston, there's a lot of buildings that go up, right? A lot of apartments and things of that nature. We don't see that many high-rise buildings being in Orange County specifically. You go to LA, you see them a little more, right? But that is something that's definitely not the norm for where we live, right? If the population density of LA is 6,086.6 people per square mile, what is the population? So we're still going to be using the same formula, okay, but now we're just given different information. So density equals population, so we don't know the population, divided by the area in which we're looking. So in this case, 469 miles. Okay? Remember, this is over 1, so we can cross multiply, or we can just multiply both sides by 469. Crosses out on the right-hand side. So 8,086.6 times 469 is, big number, give me 1 second, 3,729,615 people. So in LA, there are almost 4 million people. Okay. But notice that the density compared to Boston is pretty much 4,000 people less. So there's 4,000 less people per square mile in LA compared to Boston. Last question. What is the area of New York given that the population density is 26,980.6 persons per square mile? So holy moly, right? Comparing this density to New York City, to LA, to Boston, right? Now when you think of New York, you think of high-rise apartments, right? You think of lots of people in a very small amount of space. So our formula would be, kind of run out of space here, 20 population density equals number of people, which is 8,175,133 divided by x. And if you remember from our trig days, anytime you have the variable in the denominator, then that term and this term can just exchange. Okay? So that would then become x equals 8,175,133 divided by 26,980.6. So let's go ahead and enter that in our calculator. 8,175,133 divided by 26,980.6. That gets us 303 miles, square miles. So New York City is only 303 square miles as it sprawls out, but there's 8 million people that live there, which is crazy, right? Like, that population density is extremely high. Okay, so again, density equals the number of, for population, the number of people divided by the area in which you are looking at. Okay, and again, these go hand in hand, the number of people in the area. Now let's look at volume. So now we're looking at density of like gold, right, or wood, or stone, things of that nature. Okay, so now we're talking about like weight. So density equals mass divided by volume. All right, so how much something weighs divided by how much space it takes up equals its density. So let's think of this cube here. So the mass of this cube is 275 grams. Find the density, right? So notice that in order to find the density, we need volume. So this is a cube, so we know that it's 6 by 6 by 6. So our volume is base area times height. So our base area is 6 times 6, or 36. Our height is 6. So 36 times 6 is 216 centimeters cubed. So density, based on our formula, is weight, so 275 grams, divided by volume, 216 centimeters cubed. So 275 divided by 216 gives us 1.27 grams per cubic centimeter. So for every cubic centimeter that space takes up, it's going to weigh 1.27 grams. Okay. Let's do one more and we'll be done. So it says a sphere has a radius of 14 centimeters and a mass of 36,249 grams. Find its density. So remember, density equals grams over volume, or weight. Let's put weight over volume. So we know the radius, so we can find the volume of our sphere. 4/3 pi r cubed. So let's go ahead and use our calculator. 14 to the third power, which is 2,744, times 3.14 8,616.16 times 4, 34,400 and something, divided by 3. So the volume of our sphere is 11,488.2, which then means that the density equals the weight in grams, 36,249, divided by the volume of the sphere. So 36,249 divided by 11,488.2 to get a density of 3.16 grams per cubic centimeter. Let me know if you have any questions as you're working. All done.